Just say it. Just say stop eating animals.
Welcome to the Hen Report. I'm Jasmin Singer.
I'm Mariann Sullivan.
And we are the same size. It's like an ongoing thing now.
We're definitely not the same size in real life.
You're tall, I'm short. And but right now on my screen, we look the same size, and we spent way too long.
On my screen, I look Brobdingnagian. Is that the right word?
I don't know what
look
what
really
language.
big. You look really teeny tiny and like you're in a well.
Well, get Lassie. Oh, and don't talk about falling in a well. Vicky just fell in a well.
That's right. Vicky just fell in a well.
Like for real, fell in a well.
She's fine.
She literally was like, "Hey, I don't know if I'm going to finish my work. I fell in a well." I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And my dog ate my homework. Anyway, here we are. This is the Our Hen House podcast universe, and as you probably know, Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesday. Well, we're a universe. We've already taken over the world. We've already changed the world for animals. Now we're going to change the universe for them.
Yeah. So I think we still have a few things left.
Details. Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesdays, the Hen Report on Thursdays, and the long form interview on Fridays. And bonus for Flock members comes out on Mondays. We are a podcast and we're on YouTube, so subscribe and hit like wherever you listen. So I'm tired, and I just had
too. Like
I know, I could tell you're tired, but not because of your talking, but because you're a little
everybody
cranky.
now like clicking off on the assumption that this is going to be low energy, because it is.
I have two things to say about that. I got a new protein powder that's like an iced coffee, and I just made like a smoothie with it. It wasn't that good, but I thought it would wake me up.
Sounds really good. Like, why are you telling us about it if it wasn't any good?
Well, I'm sort of interested in the company Orgain, which, by the way, like I'm just talking about.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I get my protein powder from Orgain, and they have all these flavors now. Like everything.
Not all of their products are vegan.
Okay, well, obviously the ones I get all are, but
yeah.
I mean, protein is just absolutely everywhere and in absolutely everything. Although
we all know that it's all anybody ever talks about, and most of them act as if the only place you can get it is from animals.
I'm seeing more and more plant-based proteins being discussed and also being carried at the grocery store. So I agree that a lot of people
But it's just protein. Like, why did that happen? Is it true? I have no idea. I don't think so. I think the recommendations, like, otherwise we would have been dying all those years.
Right. Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
In any case,
I don't think we should discuss things that we know nothing about.
All right. Well, we spoke.
Which covers really a lot of territory.
Yeah. We spoke the other day at Main Street Vegan Academy.
We did, but that's something we know a lot about.
Victoria Moran's, this is her amazing training program for people to become certified vegan lifestyle coaches. But this particular, and we've been, instructors for many, many years at this, and now it's fully online. It used to be in person. And the last cohort that we just spoke to, like a lot of the people in it either worked within animal protection or, just were experts in their
veganism,
field.
Not necessarily animal protection related veganism, but in some kind of veganism.
And we usually talk about Animal Rights 101 and Animal Law 101. And I was really struggling with the idea of just talking to people who probably already know about gestation crates and battery cages about gestation crates and farrowing.
Know more than they used to. I mean, that's one of the great and unbelievably frustrating things about this work, is that awareness certainly people don't know as much as they should, but people know factory farms are bad. People know there's bad stuff. It doesn't change what they eat, but they do know a lot more. And these people, we were both anticipating that they probably knew a lot. And what are we going to stand up there and explain, what a battery cage is?
Right, exactly. So you had the great idea, as you do, of kind of slightly pivoting the animal rights part of the talk to be about theories of change and how people are changing the world for animals. And this was largely inspired by your law review article that you published earlier this year that we've talked about. And I mean, I think it went really well. I think people were really interested in what theories of change are and the different ways that people are going about change making for animals. So
I mean,
well
I
done.
think that, well, thank you. I do feel that, like, a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of really, really strong feelings about theories of change in the animal rights world, as we all know. People are very opposed to each other, and I tend to approach them kind of as like that they're all legitimate, and I'm not sure everybody is on board with that. But I think it's not that I choose to embrace every single one of the theories of change. And of course, to some extent, I'm talking about welfarism. Improve small welfare improvements. A lot of people feel strongly that that's not the way forward, and it's not really what I embrace either. But I don't know. I feel the need to like just state, kind of take a place to state what are the all the different ways that people think that are possible ways forward. And to tell
Yeah.
you the truth, I don't think it's one or the other or
Yeah.
the other. I think it's, they're probably a. I don't think we can change people's minds about what they think is the right way forward. And B, I think they all have to kind of work in synergy. So we're
Absolutely.
talking about vegan advocacy, obviously, is one, persuading people kind of more or less one by one, that that that
One cupcake at a time.
telling them what's happening to animals, and that's not always one by one, of course. There's other ways to do it too. Telling them what's happening to animals and persuading them to stop eating them, which is kind of, I think, most of our wheelhouse. And then the welfare reform, and trying to set that balance between getting those little incremental improvements, but not saying that it's enough, which is a really hard line to draw for a lot of people. And
Mhm.
Good Food Institute, like, they have always embraced this theory of change that if you build it, they will come. Like, you just have to make it cheap and delicious and available, and it'll take over. I think those things are hugely important, but I don't think they're enough by themselves. And other things like, just like, I think PETA's theory of change really depends a lot on bringing attention to animals in general, not just factory farming, not just what's happening to food animals, but like just really high attention campaigns to get people to see all of these different things that are happening to animals. I hope they would agree with how I characterize that. So,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of different ways that people move forward, but I really do think that they are all necessary, and probably all together they're not enough because we're not making enough change.
I have to tell you something. This is breaking news for right now, but it won't be breaking by the time it airs. I forgot to put do not disturb on, and I just got a alert on
Oh, I
my
did too.
a news alert that Jane Goodall died.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
she was 91, and it says that she was in California as part of a speaking tour. But it also said she died of natural causes. So I don't actually really understand what natural causes are. But
What do you mean? Like, she wasn't murdered?
right, yeah. I mean, I get that, but like it just
Well, it
sounds like
sounds, I mean, I feel really, really sad, and at the same time, talk about like a life well lived, and it sounds like a generous death, that she was healthy.
yeah,
I mean, she was healthy and dynamic. I mean, she's been working this like all this
she
time up until like apparently the day she died.
yeah.
So
And
you
she
got to
was
take that into account. Like, what a heroine.
yeah, and I know that she worked with Roots and Shoots. I would say most recently that was a big focus of her work, as far as I know.
Yeah, it was kind of
And
her organization. I mean, she founded the
yeah,
organization, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And she did such incredible work for raising awareness about animals.
And she's
And
one of the few people who she started purely with wildlife, obviously chimpanzees specifically, and then later, like, transition to the whole panoply of animals and embracing. I mean, I know she was vegetarian for a long time, but
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I think she was vegan like towards the end.
Yeah, as far as
I
I know,
wasn't paying
she
that much
was.
attention, but
So,
but
what
but
would you?
like how many people do that? Like start off, doing research and as a scientist on a particularly animal of interest and actually start to see the big picture. Like
So,
nobody.
kind of tying this back to what you were just saying about theory of change, like, what would you say her theory of change was? Maybe that knowledge leads to empathy, would you say?
Oh,
Like,
totally. And also just the whole way, I mean, what she meant by knowledge. She didn't follow,
mhm.
I mean, her whole breakthrough was that she didn't follow the rules of how you're supposed to see animals. She gave them names, which was considered unbelievably controversial when she started her research. She lived among them. I mean, not literally all the time or anything, but tried to form relationships, tried to see them as individuals. She changed the way people saw chimpanzees and then how she changed the way research was done. So I think it had to do with seeing animals as individuals, which
Mhm. Yeah.
particularly in the scientific realm, which nobody did. I mean, she totally changed the way science was done around animals.
Yeah, and I would throw in there that one of her theories of change was probably rooted in the idea that local action can create global change. I mean, would you say that's a theory of change? I mean, I know with Roots and Shoots, for example, when she was doing a lot of one-on-one work with young people and inspiring them to take action in their own communities, planting trees and cleaning rivers and obviously taking care protecting animals and that kind of in the weeds work really did create a shift. I mean, everyone knows who Jane Goodall is, whether or not you're an animal person. So maybe that's another theory of change out there.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
in any case,
Think globally, act locally,
right, right.
like the bumper sticker says.
Like the bumper sticker says. Uh, when I first went vegan 20, I don't know, 21, 22 years ago, yeah, 22 years. Anyway, I had a bumper sticker, speaking of that said, like, you can't be a meat eat. No, it wasn't a bumper sticker. It was like a pin. It said, you can't be a meat eating environmentalist.
Yeah, I remember
And
that one.
yeah, but I think that like that has changed
Oh,
since.
well, I have an article for us to talk
Okay,
about.
what is it? What
I
is
don't
it?
think that you saw this one.
Okay, tell me.
I saw the headline and I thought, oh, we have to talk about that. And this is from Greenpeace. I mean, it's from the website, Greenpeace's website. Greenpeace activists in cages confront UN livestock conference and call for just transition from industrial agriculture. And I have to say, I was pretty excited because, it's Greenpeace. And as we all know, environmental organizations don't tend to focus on the animals in cages. So this happened in Rome. It was the start of the UN's flagship livestock conference at the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome.
Hmm.
And so all these groups, 90 environment, development, food and agriculture groups, called on governments to urgently slash agricultural emissions by supporting a quote just transition away from industrial agriculture to a food system based on agroecology. And I read that. That's the first sentence. And I said, what? What is that? And the whole thing is just, it's so typical of these environmentalists. And at least they're finally recognizing that the food system is a part of the problem. But,
Hmm.
it's just never about the animals. It's like they're they use the word agroecology instead of using the word cow. Because God forbid. So it did talk about these Greenpeace Italy activists who sound like they were actually doing a really pretty authentic job because they staged an intensive livestock farm.
Hmm.
They used pink smoke to reflect methane and sound effects, and so there were 10 large cages containing activists dressed as cows and pigs, and the placard said, "Farms, not factories. Just transition. Agroecology now." There's there's a powerful slogan. Agroecology now. And
Wow.
all right, this one is good. Big meat and dairy are cooking the planet. So that's at least a little specific, but the generalized terms just drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Signatories call on governments to, quote, incentivize agricultural practices that restore ecosystems, support biodiversity, and ensure access to healthy and nutritious foods for all. Just say it. Just say stop eating animals. Just say it. They never say stop eating animals. This was one from Africa talking about there's a major push by global agribusiness and donors to intensify and industrialize African livestock and agriculture. But they want to work with policymakers to use production systems based on agroecology and indigenous approaches. Just say it. Just say it. Don't eat animals. There's this one from Teresa Anderson, who's from ActionAid International. Corporate controlled industrial agriculture is the second largest cause of climate change. Agroecological farming methods work with nature instead of against it, cut emissions, and are more resilient to climate change impacts. Nowhere in here do they ever say maybe we should like eat vegetables instead of animals. COP30 is coming up. We used to get more excited about that since every year they seem to do less. It's going to be held in the Amazon. Um,
Hmm.
Belém, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I guess that's in Brazil. Um, with the world's largest ecosystem under threat from aggressive deforestation caused by industrial agriculture. Well, exactly what kind of industrial agriculture in order to create what food?
Right.
All right, I'm sorry. I meant this to be like a positive article from that title, and instead it made me really mad.
Well, it also totally, poo-poos what I said right before it, which is that it was an antiquated belief to say, you can't be a meat-eating environmentalist
Yeah,
because
yeah, no,
environmentalists are
yeah,
getting it a little bit
they
more.
didn't get that memo. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, you have some other stories for us too. I mean, none of them is going to be anywhere near as good as the video you sent me earlier this week about socializing feral cats
Yeah, you really liked
because
that one, didn't you? It was about
I
three
loved
kittens.
it.
It was a video about three kittens, so right off the bat, it's gonna be good.
I mean, it's so funny. Like, I have so many animals, and like I could never get bored of just watching kitten videos
Yeah,
like
I
that
know.
that you send to
I
me, and
know. They're
it
so
just
they're
it,
just so insanely cute.
but there's
It's
also
just
this.
like I know that isn't the hottest news flash.
Yeah, but it's
Kittens are
also
cute.
like there's an urgency there. So, like it is as I've said, all their little thoughts. I mean, as you said, and I've quoted you saying all their little thoughts or giant thoughts. I don't know, but it really takes me out of the like endless news cycle of horror that is going on. Like when you
Yeah,
show me,
I'll watch like one video of the news or the president or some monstrosity, and then I'll watch a cat video and to kind of cleanse the palate. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
this was a really special video. I really do want to recommend it for anybody who's interested. I really like the work that they're doing. This is from Flatbush Cats in Brooklyn, and their videos are excellent. They have loads of them. Mark a week off on your calendar, and they're instructional. I mean, and this one in particular really is. I mean, it tells the story of these three particular kittens, how they were rescued, how they knew that they had been abandoned by well, not abandoned by their mother. We don't know what happened to their mother. They weren't that young at the time, so she might have just moved on, as they will do. And so because they weren't that young, they were at that edge of, are they going to be feral? Are we going to be able to, home these cats? So they
mhm,
were challenging, and they go through the entire process of trapping them, which was really, really hard. They had to be trapped separately because they wouldn't go into the under the cage like together. And through the entire process, and how painstaking it is and how many days it takes and how much intense work it does. But at the end, they also had these three cats in homes, and they were clearly the same kittens because they had like unusual markings. And there they are, these big chunky cats living in these homes, looking totally happy. And instead of being out on the street, it was just a lovely video. And if you
yeah.
want to know how to socialize feral kittens, semi-feral kittens, kittens that have not gone over the edge yet, I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend all of their other videos.
I can't.
Flatbush Cats.
Flatbush Cats just on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't find it, but I want to
Oh dear.
have no, I want to have Vicky put it in the show notes, so I
Right.
will make sure to find
Well,
it. Oh,
I hope that's their
no,
name. I'm
I
sure it
found it.
is.
You're right. You're
Okay.
right. You're right. It is. Oh, it's playing a video. All right, stop. Oh my God. I'm literally 2 seconds into a video that just started playing and I have to go. Bye. All right. That's so funny. All right. So let's talk about some of the other articles you had.
Well, there's not that many, Jasmine. I don't have a whole list of them. I
What?
did want to mention Cass Sunstein. I don't know whether it's been a while since Cass Sunstein was involved with animal rights. He's a pretty famous guy. I would say he's a public intellectual. He's at Harvard. And let's see, he's the Robert Walmsley University professor at Harvard Law School. He's also the founder and director of the program on behavioral economics and public policy at Harvard Law School. So basically, he's very fancy, but he also writes these popular books. I mean, I think the big one was Nudge, Improving Decisions About Health, Wealth, and Happiness. And but he's written a bunch, he's written a gazillion things. He also was in the Obama administration as the what was the name of the 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 part of the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, which is, when we used to have a federal government, it was an important part of it. And so he's a big deal. And he was an animal rights guy. I mean, and he wrote several articles, and they were really, maybe didn't agree with 100%, but very powerful from somebody with a lot of prestige. And that was when he was partnered with Martha Nussbaum at the University of Chicago. They broke up. I wonder if
Oh,
that was the reason. Anyway, I don't think
I
it's the
didn't
reason.
know. I didn't know that. That's
Oh
some
yeah, I'm spilling the
tea.
tea here.
Seriously.
Well, now he's partnered with, assuming he still is, with that woman Samantha, what's her name, who used to be the UN ambassador under Obama. Anyway, um, yeah, so he's a big deal, and a big animal rights proponent.
Power. Samantha Power.
Samantha Power, and then in his congressional hearing, because the office that he held in the Obama administration had to be like authorized by Congress. And he threw animals under the bus. They asked him all of these questions about
Really?
animals, and he just kind of denied it all.
Why?
So,
Why do you think?
oh,
Why do you
because he
think
wanted
that
the
is?
job.
Oh,
I think.
well,
Um,
that sucks.
yeah, but he's back. He's back, and now he's trying to get involved in animals again, with animals again. Trying to explain. I think he's planning on writing a book. And I just saw. I know. Before I tell you about it, just say I don't think this is gonna. There's an online version of this talk, so we'll just have to find out about it later. But he's going to be talking at the Cambridge Center for Animal Rights Law, and he's going to be giving this talk, Beyond Kant and Bentham, a Bill of Rights for Non-Human Animals. I would love to see this talk, and I can't wait till he comes out with the book because, I'm mad at him for throwing animals under the bus, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And welcome back. Anytime anybody wants to come back into the fold, they are more than welcome, especially if they're famous and prestigious. I think it's a big deal. I mean, he writes best-selling books.
We'll take you back even if you're not known by anybody except your mama and super not fancy. Like, it's
We
fine.
will. We will.
We'll take you back.
If you,
Maybe there will be a video of that. That would be cool. That would
well,
be
it
good.
doesn't seem so. I mean, maybe there'll be a video. I doubt it. There doesn't seem to be a simultaneous. You have to go to London. Or I guess is Cambridge. You have to go to Cambridge. You have to fly to London and then drive to Cambridge.
Yeah, it is hard to get there.
And
Okay.
the lecture hall has a limited capacity, so get your tickets soon and your plane tickets. I mean, assuming you're not already in Cambridge.
Or your train tickets. I mean, not if you're
right. If you're in
the
Scotland.
US.
Or we can't, I think, they get it. They get the point.
All right. So what is this about I can't say it. Ridgeland Farms?
Ridgeland, yeah. That's the other thing to talk about. I mean, we've talked many times about what's going on with Ridgeland Farms. And there was the DXE undercover investigation, then the prosecution of Wayne Shung and other activists for having gone in and rescued Julie, a beagle. And then at the very last minute, after preparing for trial, they dropped the charges against them. And And then the activists managed to turn the tables and get an and under this specific Wisconsin law, get an investigation done. Richland is a breeder of animals used for research, and they also do some research on mostly on beagles and so dogs, so very sympathetic. And then it got so they brought this action, and the court agreed there needs to be a prosecution here. Did not send it back to the prosecutor who had tried to prosecute Wayne and the others instead of the the facility, but assigned a special prosecutor. And nothing's happened on that since then that I know of. But now it's a little complicated how this all happened because it involves a lot of Wisconsin agency law. But there's a veterinary examining board in Wisconsin, as there is in most states, maybe in all states, that kind of govern the work of veterinarians, and they have voted unanimously to suspend the license of this guy Richard Van Domelen, who's the lead veterinarian at Ridgeland. Which this
Wow.
is a whole new way forward. I mean, they should be doing this at factory farms too. I mean, veterinarians have an obligation, and I won't tell you all the things that that were happening here, but basically, he was allowing employees who were not veterinarians to do surgeries that were really gruesome, and without anesthesia, just terrible, terrible stuff. And they've suspended his license. This is amazing.
That is
So
amazing.
yeah,
Do you
this
think
is
that
really good news.
it'll create a new precedent
Well,
potentially?
I think people will now start to try this, and we'll see, because
That's an
like
exciting part of the
what are these
law.
vets at factory farms authorizing to be done to these animals? Like once the vets on this board who are not affiliated with the industry get put on the spot and have to actually make a decision, is this what veterinarians should do? Apparently, there's a chance that they will do the right thing. So there's a
Well,
lot of other stuff going on with Richland. I can't go into it all now, but so much work has been done here by a local organization called Dane for Dogs, also the Animal Activist Legal Defense Project at the University of Denver, which of course we've talked about many times. Alliance for Animals is another organization that's affiliated, and of course Wayne's website is called the Simple Heart Initiative. So a lot of organizations have worked on this. A lot of people have worked on this, and it's real. That's cool. That is
very
very
cool.
cool. That is
I
not what veterinarians should be doing.
Yeah, I love when you nerd out on this kind of thing when something shifts and it could suddenly shift a lot more. I mean, it's very
I don't get an opportunity to do
yeah.
that often.
Well, it's rooted in like in legal work, and I I I think that's exciting. So,
It
all
is.
right, let's talk about as our last story this piece on sentient media, a
Yeah, people
postmortem.
should just go read this
We'll put it in the
because
show notes.
it's we love Jessica Scott Reed. She is a writer for not just for Sentient Media, but she writes a lot for them. And she's writing on something that I think hits hard for all of us. And the title of her article is "A Postmortem on Veganism is Premature." And we've all been tortured by the fact that, as she pointed out, like 2020, we thought we'd won. Like, it was all over, but the shouting and what the hell, the game changers, Beyond Meat, like everything was going great, and then everything,
Mm,
changed, and market demand dropped, and there's all these articles about how veganism is over, and she is just issuing a corrective here, talking about a lot of the efforts that were done to create this image, um, and 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 how that has been unfair. Talking about also how this is a typical situation for a new technology. There's a big fanfare in the beginning, then there's hesitation, and it dies down. But that doesn't mean that the the foundation hasn't been laid for actually more real, more authentic growth in the future, and that's what we expect to happen. And and she also points out, what if plant-based was just simply part of the solution? And she talks about Denmark and how, once if we ever get a government back that makes any sense, we could follow and cares about climate, we could follow their efforts, which have been really great. Huge meat eating country, huge animal agriculture in that country. I mean, even not considering the size of the country, they have an unbelievable pig industry. And yet their government has launched the world's first national action plan for plant-based foods, invested millions of dollars um, to make the industry stronger, brought in partners from farming and public procurement and culinary education. And rather than framing it as a threat to meat, they kind of sidestep labels like vegan or vegetarian and just uh, present it all as a business opportunity. This is the future. This is where the money is. So as she concludes, this is not the time for plant-based postmortem. It's a very reassuring article, but it does not mince words. I mean, she's talking about what has happened and how disappointing it has been to many of us. She's not trying to cover it up, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more to this story yet to be told.
Yeah, the
So
end.
I just thought people might like that article a lot.
To quote her, she says, success is not measured by short-term sales spikes or viral trends. It comes from steady integration with plant-based foods becoming normalized, accessible, and appealing. So we have to keep going. I think that's the point, right? We have to keep going, keep moving forward.
Yeah, and the industry has damaged the plant-based movement or the vegan movement a lot, but they haven't killed it.
Absolutely not. Well, on that note, we have some exciting shows coming up. So thank you, as always, for tuning in to our Hen House, and we hope that you will subscribe on your favorite podcatcher or on YouTube. So thanks again for joining us. We will be back very soon, sooner than you can even realize, with more Our Hen House for you.
Yeah. Before you go, I just want to mention, we're going to have Gail Eisnitz on very soon to talk about her new book, Out of Sight: An Undercover Investigator's Fight for Animal Rights and Her Own Survival. But we're going to be, she did a reading of from that book for us, and that'll be going out to Flock members on Monday. And if you want to get a head start and get a glimpse of the book before you listen to her interview, that would be an opportunity to do that. If you're in the flock. If you're not, what can I tell you?
I thought you were going to say if you're not, flock you, but
I wouldn't say that.